Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and we have with us again our good friend Ruba the Heart Mender, who you may know from her YouTube channel or from her Instagram. Welcome back, Ruba. How are you today?
I am very well, trying to keep cool.
Yeah, strange
It's
weather
pretty
that we're
hot here.
having. Yeah,
Yes,
very humid here as well. Very weird
absolutely.
summer humidity. We had a storm last night, but it didn't clear the air. It's one of those bad storms that doesn't do what you want it to. So,
Yes.
yeah, but there's a funny old energy in the air as well right now, and I think that's connected. And I know that you wanted very much to talk about Ascension today, and I want to just dive straight in because I'm really curious to know, because I know what I think it is, but I'm curious to know what you define Ascension as. What is it to you?
Okay. So, as somebody who grew up in a in a in a very religious space, very culturally religious space, and I only learned the difference after I started my ascension. And I do this between parentheses because until now I do not have the correct Arabic word for it, and I'm in the search for it. At least the word that makes sense to me, that clicks to my experience. But the Holy Book, the opening of the Holy Book, it is called the opening, and it is a prayer, and it is a prayer to the Lord to guide us onto the narrow, straight, not the narrow, into the straight, correct, righteous, in a very literal form. If you take it into the dictionary, the narrow, and this is the practiced, the narrow path. And it goes, and oh Lord, guide us to the righteous path, to the correct path, the path of those that you have graced with light, with wisdom, those you have actually chosen and forgiven for the madness that it is around us. That is what ascension means to me.
Hmm.
Getting to that road, being on that road that my predecessors have taken, my ancestors have taken. Whether you want to take it from a biblical, Quranic, or little monotheistic, Judaic perspective, I Adam and Eve did that too. That, you know, if you want to go to the beginnings, they were on that path. Every single human from the beginning was on that path. That is what ascension is to me. So,
Fascinating. So the path back to
yes,
heaven, back to heaven.
absolutely. But it's not in an original sin kind of, I have sinned, so please take me. I have finally found home. I have finally heard the call, and now I am going home. It is not as something I have to uh, grovel and destroy myself and keep thinking I am unworthy of. But it's actually something that is I am born with, and something that is innate. كلنا مولود على الفطرة. We are all born with the pure essence, and it is our nurture, our parents, our societies that make us who we are. It is not God, and it is very plain out there. And people say this prophetic saying, yet they don't actually ponder. They don't sit and ponder upon the meaning of it. I asked you before this meeting. Do you have any verses? Do you have anything in your Christian upbringing that you just hear or you read and it just automatically clicks and automatically makes sense with the person that you innately are? It
Hmm.
just makes sense. And when you ever hear and you sit down and you hear what everybody tells you it means, it just does not compute, to use today's terms. So
Yeah.
that
There are now, certainly more so now than when I was younger. I grew up very much disliking religion because of how it was presented to us here in England, here in the UK. When you go to school, it's every morning you have an assembly, which is basically a church service by a different name. You have to say prayers, you have to sing hymns, there's probably some sort of Bible story that they're going to tell you, you know. And the way it was presented to us was, I found quite oppressive. A lot of it I found very confusing and petty, and I didn't like it at all. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. If you'd asked me when I was about 8 years old what religion I was, I would have told you I was an atheist.
really,
Yeah.
I remember when they used to have these religious lectures in the middle of a school day, that they would gather all the girls in in the biggest room there, what they would usually call the school prayer room or the school mosque, whatever you want to call it. And then she would be sitting and telling and teaching us how to basically do certain things that only she would teach us about our bodies in the religious context, and about purity and what purity means and all of those kind of stuff. And then sometimes there would be questions risen and then there would be answers given. And I'm telling you, at 7 and at 8 and at 9, and I would be sitting there, and I would be sitting on the, no, but that does not make sense. No, but that does not make sense. That does not feel all right. No, that doesn't feel all right. So I would ask, I would ask a question that would fluster everybody. And, and then my mom would be called. So I stopped asking questions, but it never stopped feeling wrong. But I kept those feelings to myself, and I kept saying to myself, "Oh, maybe you are mad. Maybe you are wrong. Maybe there's something that you're not understanding. Maybe if you do it different, you would understand it better. Maybe if you know." But nothing made sense in my heart. Nothing made sense.
Mm.
So when I opened the holy book and I first sat down to read it on my prayer mat, this is the opening, and it's called the opening. And it is the most comforting verses to me in the entirety of the book, because it just shows you that that's it. Ask and you shall receive, right? And this is what I attain. This is what I want to attain. This is my ascension process. Is the right path, connecting to myself, connecting to the world around me, connecting to everything I was asked to connect with, to take care of. Because it's not a gift for us to use. This is a gift for us to nurture and take care of, because one day we have to give it back.
Mm.
Like, for example, Earth and the Amazon and what's happening to it, and the habitats of the elephants and what's happening to them because of oil fields. So, yeah, these are not ours to abuse. These are ours to take care of. And we are really abusing that. And one day we will be asked about it. And I wonder what kind of answer we will come up with when the question comes up. Because we will be questioned by those who will be left with nothing. And they will be angry. They will be really angry. And that day is not far. those who were kept in the dark spiritually, and those who were kept in the dark financially, and those who were kept in the dark socially, and those who were kept in the dark environmentally. There is no keeping in the dark anymore. I believe the pandemic has completely changed what communication means, has completely changed what truth means, because it had shown that a truth is a subject. It's a subjective thing, depending on which angle you look at it, right? The mirror.
Totally.
But now we get to see that the truth is actually a prism. And for us to be able to see a correct picture, we have to be looking throughout the entire prism of the issue and of the matter before you can actually convince people. More and more people, unfortunately, until now, I don't believe enough understand the gravity. Many people ignore the synchronicities, think that they are just coincidences and nothing more than just being at a time and in a place where he just happens to be looking at the clock and finding it 11:11, or driving down the street and finding a building with the number 555 right above it, and everywhere you look, and it starts to annoy you, but you still don't understand what that annoyance is. It's part of the prism. It's a beacon. It's a signs, like it's a direction. Look here, there's something to see. There's something for you to ponder upon, and a very big question you need to answer for yourself. So yes, that.
Absolutely. And I what you know what I find really interesting, for me personally, because I was so turned off from religion when I was younger because of school, because of it being pushed very hard. And it wasn't something that I had at home. We were not a religious family, so I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. Obviously, as you get older, we had to have religious education classes in senior schools. We got older, so I actually know quite a lot of the Bible. I know a lot of stories. I know quite a bit of scripture, but I didn't like it. I completely rejected it, and for me, it actually put me backwards in many ways in my journey. It stopped me from being able to access a lot of those things, because I was so turned off by how it had been presented to me. I was so angry with how it had been presented to me. I couldn't make friends with it. I couldn't even use the word God until about 10 years ago.
Actually, I have to thank my father for bringing me up to be a very critical thinker, because he never took things for face value. He never took things for face value. Yet he never disrespected anybody. He would sit back and he would listen intently, and he would ask the questions, and he would get their answers, and he would understand their point of view. But at the end of the day, he would leave the table absolutely convinced of what he is already aware of. Like, he knows. He does not judge. He takes everything, the complete picture, before he makes any decisions. And he never makes rash decisions. He thinks and he thinks and he thinks. And usually this is where things stopped, because with a lot of thought comes a lot of doubt. And sometimes the doubt gets so loud that it drains out the entire original core picture or core question, But that point, I never took things for face value. When they did not make sense, I asked the questions. And when they did not answer me, I'm clever enough, and I was able to find ways for myself, for them to make sense for myself. Otherwise, I would have literally have gone insane a very long time ago. And they did make sense, because I did find the answers in the books, and they did make sense in my heart, and it did make sense in my conscience. So yeah, that it's they were never able to take out the beauty of it. I think I was lucky that way because I was brought up to be that kind of thinker.
That is fortunate for sure, because you see a lot of youth, a lot of the millennials, the Zoomers, they're very turned off by religion, because it
Hmm.
some of it feels so backward. It hasn't kept up with the times. They don't see how it relates to them. It may literally be a turn off. They may find it too restrictive, and there's a very nihilistic energy that comes through, from those younger generations. You know, the people a little bit younger than us, maybe. Um, and I think because of that, some of them have literally gone the pagan route, which is the one I went first because it's far more appealing. You know, it's and there's a lot of souls going through at the moment, I believe, who we have pagan past lives as well, and so there's a lot of remembering going on there too. But for me, what I wasn't expecting was to go full circle, to go pagan, sort of new age, and then back to all the other scriptures as well, and realize how interconnected they were. Like you said, it's like, you know, different lights coming off a prism. It's just the different shades of colours all coming off, isn't it? But these
Think of
younger,
them.
go on.
Sorry, keep going. I'm sorry, I interrupted. The
No,
younger
no.
generation, yes.
Yeah, but they're so nihilistic, and I think a lot of the time that's why they don't see the synchronicity, and a lot of them do call themselves atheist and think they're kind of above or beyond religion or beliefs because they think it has to look a certain way, and maybe they can't think outside the box to see that actually it's a bit bigger and more vast than that, and they don't. And this is what we were talking about, you know, before we came on the video, was the synchronicity in the world, the numbers everywhere, and a lot of like conspiratorial minded people see the numbers, but the problem is a lot of them just immediately assume, oh, it's satanic. Oh, it's satanic. Oh, there's 33, it's satanic. And full disclosure, Ruba and I actually know each other, from a numerology course that we did together. So, you know, we have a lot to say when it comes to numbers. So I think there's a lot more to it, particularly with the number 33 for me, which is a number that's in my chart. I can't remember. Is it in your chart as well, Ruba? I can't remember. I know you had 22
No,
quite
it's
strongly.
22. It's 22s and 11s for
Mm,
me.
yeah.
Yes.
And 33 is one of mine, and it's very much maligned in some of the sort of conspiracy, truther movement who don't fully understand it.
Oh,
33 is the
I
Christ
cannot even begin
consciousness.
to go there because
It's
I
the
don't
Christ
know anything.
consciousness. And
I
that's the
do
thing.
not understand it. The
Yeah.
conspiracy, I just, again, it does not make sense.
Mm,
And when I say sense, I do not mean by thought. It does not feel. I do not sense it. This is what does not make sense means to me,
yeah.
again.
Mhm.
So it does not make sense as it does not sit correct any of them theories. So they were automatically eliminated as a source of the maddening synchronicities that I was seeing throughout the period of 9 months before my actual um, spiritual journey going to Peru. So um, the number 11 for me literally was the only number that I was seeing from November of 2019, November 27th, and I remember the date. It's a curse. I remember dates and places. Anyways, November 27th, I was sitting and I was watching, uh, I don't know, one of them adult cartoons that are on Netflix, and I was just watching them, and every single episode I would play was 11 minutes and 11 seconds, 11 minutes and 11 seconds, 11 minutes and 11 seconds. And then I would go to the kitchen and it's 11 o'clock and 11 minutes. I'm like, okay. And then I would sleep and then I would wake up and then I would wake up and I was like, still 11, 11. And then I would realize that the clock on the wall had stopped at 11, 11. At the point, I actually thought that I was going crazy. I started screaming in the house, what the heck's happening? And then that's it. That was the beginning of, for me. When I actually asked that question, what the heck is happening? That I had to ask that question because wise never get you any answers. I'm crazy never gets you any answers. The minute you start to ask the question, what the heck is happening, is when answers start to come. I learned in university and throughout my masters, you ask the five questions. What? Who? when, where, and how. And you never ask why, because why never gives you answers. 5 Ws, 5 Ws. Stick
Mm.
to those.
That's
And
interesting.
synchronicity, that's it.
Mm. That is interesting because that is something I often have to say to clients in readings, and they'll say something like, "Why did this happen to me? Why did that happen to me? Why did this person leave me?" And I always have to say, there's never a good answer to why. Sometimes it's just stuff happens. Um, why is a really bad question, and you will send yourself around in circles, killing yourself trying to find that answer. I
Mm-hmm.
totally agree. Sometimes you really need to, I mean, there's a place for why, but a lot of the time we really need to just throw that one away because it will take you in circles. It won't move you forwards. It won't help you find answers.
Start
Um,
with what is happening.
yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, as you know, a lot of us are ascending, as I see it, you know, we are evolving as a species, we are on that path back to heaven or to source or whatever people want to call it, depending on their particular personal beliefs. It's essentially the same thing. But we are ascending and we do start to notice the synchronicities on that journey. We start to notice that actually maybe this isn't a coincidence. We ask that question, why do I keep seeing, you know, for a lot of people it is sequences of numbers, particularly 1111, which is an angel number in particular, and 11 is of course the number of wisdom. It's a higher wisdom number. It's you know it's information coming through. And yes, of course, there will be people who use numbers and numerology for nefarious purposes, and you know, but I just kind of want to give 33 a break. Yeah, people say that the Masons use it. Okay, maybe they do, but that doesn't make the number bad. It's just a number. 33 is actually the Christ consciousness. You know, if you're going to use it and invert the meaning, yes, you're going to get the Antichrist, but that doesn't mean that the number's bad. The number's
I
the
do have
Christ
lots of
consciousness.
threes in my chart, if
Mm.
that's what you mean. I have lots of threes, but not the 33. Yes, I do have lots of threes, especially when we did the the,
Athanol. The Athanol.
the ethanol.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Alchemist's Pot. That was a fun one. That's a fun one. Look it up if you don't know what it is. That's a good one.
So, um, and if you actually open any religious text, whether it is ancient religions or monotheistic religions, you will, or even modern religions, or even if you want to call them whatever you want to call them, the Masons or whatever, numbers are an extremely strong part of the doctrine for a reason. Like, I know growing up, there were these extremely incredible, incredible scholars, actually mathematicians, who tried to understand the fascination, because the numerology in the Quran itself is just, it's beyond incredible. The numbers and the synchronicities of those numbers and the repetitions of the numbers and the amount of specific words are written. Every single thing has been counted, but nobody understands what is the reason for these numbers to be there. Let's think of ourselves as a species, let's say as a human being. And I will use again words of I grew up with, which is gamer words, right? This is an assimilation. We are living in a game. We are characters in this game, correct? So automatically you are telling me that there are rules to this game.
Mm-hmm.
So you have automatically disqualified the whole idea of that we are just put on this rock hurling through space, because I've been hearing that term a lot, and especially in the spiritual community. Let it go. You're just on a rock hurling through space. I'm like, no, this is not the case. We're not just a rock hurling through space. Our location in the solar system is ideal. It's calculated to the millimeter. Otherwise, we will be incinerated or freeze to death. Random? No. There is no such thing. Again, every in the Holy Scripture, in the Holy Book, it is written in detail the embryonic development. And in the monthly cycles, it is written in there, and it has been translated, and medicine uses these calculations today. It has been written 1500 years ago. There are numbers for a reason. Someone actually discovered that code. I was like, oh, maybe I should actually look at a uterus and see what the heck is happening. And boom, lo behold, there it is. Someone cracked a code. A code. There are cheat codes for games. If you believe that this is an assimilation and this is just randomness, or this is just whatever this is, it has a cheat code and you've been given it. And those numbers that you're looking at is the direction in which those cheat codes are. This is where you need to be looking. What does it mean? This is where I need to be looking. You had a thought at that moment. There's a thought that had popped into your head. The minute you finished that thought, you looked at the clock, it was 5:55. What the heck does that mean? Oh, does it feel good in my heart? Maybe I should take action on that. Maybe this is a lucrative opportunity. Maybe that person I was thinking of is a good chance for me. Take action now. Change is happening now. I looked at the clock, I found it 11:11. If you're scared, don't be scared. Lord is with you. Your guardian angels are with you. It's a comforting message. How do I know the meanings of those messages? Sit down and ask the question, what does it mean? And as I said before, stop talking, put this on pause, and your heart literally, those flutters, those aches, those whatever, and the tiny, teeny little voice will tell you what it means. It is literally that simple. It is not hocus pocus. It is not put a potion on it and shake it and put it in the sun with a goblin's blood. No, you know what I mean? It is literally you and yourself sitting down. That simple, yet it is the most terrifying thing you can ask anybody to do. Because I don't believe they know the magnitude of what they can find in there. All they believe that they can't find in there is monsters, ugly aliens, green goblins, bloodsuckers, or whatever you want to call them, because this is what they have been told about themselves, and this is what everything around them has projected onto them. Oh, this is crazy, or this is random, or this is just a coincidence. And go on and ignore the message, because if you do not listen, guess what? That portal will literally pass you and it will go to the next person. That's why we keep saying don't let opportunity pass you. It's not monetary opportunity. It is life changing, life altering, life modeling, human building, incredible wealth creating from inside to the outside, life, globally life changing, not to just to yourself, to every single person that comes into contact with you. You're not random. You're not just a zero and a number among 7.89 billion now. We are about almost 8 billion humans on this rock that's hurling through space. There is absolutely nothing random. And if you are going to look at it from a religious perspective, we have been given this rock or this planet and everything in it as a safe keep, because we can. And we became responsible because we have responsibility. We have the ability to respond to this, the magnitude of this safeguard or safe keep, because it's perpetual. Everything in this world, everything in physics, everything in nature is cyclical. Everything goes around in circles. The earth goes around the sun in circles. The sun goes in the Milky Way in a circle. The Milky Way goes in the cosmos around other things that we don't know yet, also in circles. There's a yearly circle. You have spring, summer, fall, winter, spring, summer, fall. It's a cycle. It's a circle. and you are part of it. Everything that gets, you become part of it. Learn to hear the signals. Because with the minute that the signals get interrupted, our life goes completely out of whack. Our bodies goes out of sync. I don't feel good. I feel depressed. I feel anxious. And by the way, I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that depression and anxiety do not exist. No, I'm a living proof. I'm a living, breathing, anxious person. I have chronic anxiety disorder. I know what anxiety is. I know what depression is. I lived it. I breathed it for years and years. And I want to say I am not a mental health professional and I'm not a doctor. But what I am is a woman who have gone through the cycles of life, knocking at the door of 40, who has done every single thing that the literal book wrote in mental health, in social health, in religious responsibility, and in social duty, and yet still felt the emptiness, the burden of being a woman in this world, and being told that I am loved and protected by God, and being called mad, crazy, ungrateful, sex object, being sexualized at age 9, have my face covered, my body covered, my voice shamed, and everything about me scrutinized, my weight, my laugh, how loud I am, how commanding of space I am. Every single thing I did was watched and scrutinized as a female. And I was brought up to believe that that is love. So,
Yeah, which it doesn't sound like. It really doesn't.
no,
That's not the concept of love
no.
that I think the rest of
So,
us would consider.
so this is who I am, not the mental health professional, but the woman who learned how to unlearn all of that,
Mm,
learned what it means to actually be loved,
mm,
how to love truly and absolutely. And I only knew what true love was when I learned that the divine, Lord, God, Yahweh, Allah, Christ, whatever you want to call them, innately, absolutely, unequivocally, irrevocably loves me in spite of every single thing I did or will ever do,
yeah, and is
because it is
everywhere.
and it is my innate right. It is not the opposite. And this is when I got off the antidepressants and anti-anxieties and learned that there are other ways that I was taught already, part of my faith, that I can use to advance myself, heal myself, not having to be a pill popper, to medicate myself to fit in a society that does not make sense, and that I innately knew it, yet I tried to repress that because, you know, this is what we've been taught. There's something wrong with us.
Absolutely. And isn't that one of the biggest messages, one of the biggest things that I think all of us have to unlearn, that there's something wrong with me?
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it. And this is where you start by actually say, if you don't know where to start, and everybody says, oh, it's nice to talk about it, but I don't know where to start. Observe your synchronicities. Step number 1.
Mm,
And once you start observing them and they start to literally shake you to your core, and you are no longer capable to ignore them, and you scream in the middle of your living room or in the middle of the street or in the middle of traffic, in the middle of the road, what the F do you want from me? Or what the F is this? And then you hear something. This is where you start.
mm. And the answers start to come through. And I think as well, the more that you notice synchronicities, the more start to happen, because this computer game or whatever this is that we're living in notices that you've noticed. And it goes, oh, so you saw that, I'll send you another one. But you
Bro,
have to notice, acknowledge, and,
and
you
when you
know,
level up,
be open to it.
and then the minute you start noticing these synchronicities, you will start noticing literally, when you start following them, you level up emotionally, you level up socially, because you will start to realize that there is something more than everyone's telling you. You'll start to feel more of yourself. You'll start to think more of yourself. You start to realize the weight of yourself. That soul crushing feeling, literally, because you've been crushing your soul. This does not come out of nowhere. When it starts to ease up, guess what happens? Pain eases. It does not disappear. It's not a magical pill. You pop a pill, you're completely out of consciousness. You're numb. You're like that. You're a walking zombie. And those who tell you you're not an emotionally dead person when you're walking on these meds, especially if you've been on them for as long as I have, or as long as those who've been chronically mentally, you know, ill, it is such a relief. Literal weight being pulled off, because it does have an actual physical weight. When they say depression hurts, that is not, it is not out of nothing. It is physically painful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting, isn't it? And I think what I find curious is that as a species, because we're going through this new stage of ascension, this new, I suppose it's being called the Great Awakening, this moving us all towards enlightenment, we all go together now. There's a whole bunch of us all going together at our own speeds, at our own paces. And as Chrissy Sawyer put it the other day when I was talking to her, she said you've got two roads. There's the slow lane and there's the superhighway. And some people are picking the superhighway and some people are picking the slow lane, and that's okay. But I think we are going to see, as a collective, more synchronicity. You know, we're going to start noticing the numbers, noticing the patterns, noticing the perfection of the universe. It's like waking up from a dream and remembering
That's
what the
it.
world really looks like and going, oh, that's what that is. Oh, I remember that now. You know, it's a remembering, I feel, on some level as well. And I think we're all going to start going through it if we haven't already. And
And
that gives me a lot of hope for humanity.
it's amazing the minute you pick up on these things. Let me back up. The traditional way we think about timelines is like timelines. It begins at birth. It has a middle stage. It's like we call it middle age, and then it has an end to it. But once one starts to follow those synchronicities and actually gets on the wave, the wavelength, and it is a wave that goes up and down, just like a sea wave. It's a spiritual journey, and especially the ascension process. It is not bam, I'm awake, wow, everything is nice, everything is light. But in the beginning stage, this is exactly what it is, which is the connection stage. The minute you hit the wave is actually going to take you up, right? It's going to take you up to get you ready, to show you what the world is, what the love is, what the world has to offer is. But again, it is temporary, because there is no space for that much light in this body. It's been filled with all of the trauma, which we need to speak about later. Trauma, oh boy. Trauma takes up so much space, physical space, cellular space. It goes back 7 generations. Space. In the womb space. Medically and actually scientifically proven. These are not my words. Google it. It does alter DNA. That's why they tell a pregnant woman, oh, do not stress yourself. You will harm the baby. This is not because out of nothing. It does cause genetic alterations, physical alterations, cellular alterations. So if you want to heal yourself, go heal yourself from a cellular level. And you start with your soul. This is what makes everything tick. Because the minute soul stops existing in your body, the body stops, the brain stops, the heart stops. It's not the other way around.
Very,
We call them
very
causes
true.
of death, but it's not the cause of death now, is it? The functioning motor, the code gets corrupt, and that's it. Lights out.
We are far more powerful than we realize, absolutely. And that's for sure. And that's certainly one of the messages I think that I will keep putting out there to as many people as will listen. You are a powerful being, you are a divine being. Just try and remember. So I will just, I'm looking at the time now. I think we've about run out of time. So I will just thank Ruba again for joining us.
Thank you.
It's always so wonderful to hear your perspective. I find it fascinating because we do come from such different perspectives, but we always meet somewhere in the middle.
We do, don't we?
Mm.
Thank you so much for always providing me with safe space. And I actually look forward to any feedback. Please do send me emails. I enjoy those a lot. I love exchanges. Go find me in Instagram. I have finally, actually lately has put my account on private for a little while. But do send me those messages. Do send me those friend requests. I love a brain exchange. Let's do this respectfully and in love and light, always.
Thank you. And I will, of course, put those links to both your Instagram and your YouTube channel in the description below. Any comments, of course, are welcome. Please do be respectful. And yeah, I'll look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Bye.